Hey, welcome back to the tragedy of Romeo and Juliet, part 9, where we're going to wrap up Act 3, scenes 4 and 5. Let's go ahead. All right, Act 3, scene 4, super short, and then scene 5, a lot to it. Now, if you're asking yourself the question, what could possibly go wrong from here on? Now we get to figure out exactly what direction or wrong direction the story's taking. Now, if Romeo's banishment wasn't enough, it's not an impossible situation yet. So you see why I'm saying that we can always find a solution to the problems that would end up this story being a tragedy. In the case of Romeo's banishment, sure, we could figure out a solution to that. It just takes time. They need time to figure out what to do to resolve that problem and to have Romeo invited back, make their wedding public, etc. So Friar Lawrence must have something up his sleeve. Now that just takes time and it could still work out. However, this play needs to keep rushing forward into tragedy and tumble further and further into the tragedy and more rapidly. So by the end of Act 3, we need to be totally tumbling head first, full force into tragedy. And that's exactly what we find when we are carrying on with these two scenes. So what happens in scene 4? Well, it's a very brief scene, but in this scene, Lord Capulet is showing his deep worry for Juliet's safety and her happiness. Okay, he tells Paris, who's actually on stage again, who we remember was asking for Juliet's hand in the first act, that he would actually make Juliet marry him in 3 days' time. So they will have a wedding. Now they're concerned about Juliet because she's crying and sad, inconsolable, and they presume over Tybalt's death. And as a way to cheer everybody up, to have a little bit of a happy occasion, but not too fast, they decide that Juliet will be wed to Paris. And that's a good match. Lord Capulet, again, he's looking out for his daughter. This is a good match. He has thought it through. He's a good, eligible, it's a strategic move. She should be very happy with this decision, and he is convinced she will be. We, of course, know otherwise. So that by scene 5, there's a lot to this one in scene 5. Okay, Romeo and Juliet are shown at the beginning. This is the night after they've spent their night together. They have to say goodbye. So Romeo and Juliet say goodbye, and Romeo leaves for Mantua, and they exchange their last words that morning. Then Juliet's mother comes in early in the morning to tell them the good news about this wedding arrangement to Paris. And in a bold act, Juliet tells her mother she will not marry Paris. We'll take a look at that line in a bit. And then Juliet's father comes in to see how Juliet has reacted to the message. He thinks she's gonna love it. She thinks she's gonna appreciate it. He comes in and is completely taken aback at her refusal to do that. Okay. He says, "You'll do as you're told," and we'll take a look at some of those lines in a second. And then finally, to make matters even worse, Juliet's nurse, who knows that Juliet was already married, legitimately married to Romeo. We already said in this time you can't just unmarry somebody. You couldn't divorce Romeo. She agrees with Juliet's parents that she should dump Romeo and marry Paris. Paris is a better match anyways. So Juliet is not moved by that comment. She actually only learns one thing, that she can't trust the nurse anymore. Okay, she's distraught and knows that there's only one person she can go to. So who does she go and see at the end of that scene? Friar Lawrence. So that is the pickle. The pickle is even bigger now. Romeo's banished. There's a wedding that Juliet's going to have to be remarried. If she doesn't, there's consequences to that. She can't trust the nurse. And what is she going to do? Okay. Now we know she's already married. That's what makes this the biggest kind of dilemma that could possibly happen, is to make her marry again. Now you might think, okay, big deal. She can marry Paris. Who cares? Then she just leave Paris. Well, look, you can't marry twice. To marry twice is extremely wrong. Okay, you can't do that. So she wouldn't have a valid marriage to Paris. So she would be damning herself, essentially, in terms of morality. You can't do that in this time. Okay, Verona and Mantua, by the way, are only a couple miles apart, literally. But to Romeo and Juliet, it must actually be more like Timbuktu. It might as well be. Now, Timbuktu is an actual place in Africa, way down here, off the screen. This were the global map. I just found that out. So you can actually go to Timbuktu, by the way. I always used to think it was just a saying, which it is, but it's actually a place. And then the nurse. I think it best you marry the county. Oh, he's a lovely gentleman. Romeo's like a dirty dishcloth compared to him. Romeo, she chirps Romeo. Now, Juliet is completely faithful to Romeo. So to have the nurse say this basically discredits anything the nurse has to give from this point on. So, why does the nurse, though, think that she should marry the County Paris? Because he's better looking, he's a better match, he is more wealthy, he has more status. And the fact that Romeo is banished and might as well be as good as dead anyways. Even if he were to come back to Verona, he would be good as dead. And technically, you're allowed to remarry if your husband's dead. So she's saying, well, he's kind of dead. He's not here anyway, right? So you might as well remarry. It's fine. Now that, as we mentioned, that means that the nurse is no longer Juliet's confidant. Okay, the nurse, the one who knew the secret, the one who helped arrange the secret of their marriage, the one who even comes in that morning and warns Juliet, your mother's coming, quick, get Romeo out of here. Okay, can't trust her anymore. So that's it. Let's go look at my favorite lines here. So here we are, Act 3, Scene 4. In fact, I just noticed this is a little bit different. They must have made an update because now I can actually have menus down here to advance through the scenes. So that's why I have to make my video a little smaller so that I can find that button at the end. But anyways, let's go through. There's only one line or series of lines I want to look at with this one. We know that Capulet and Paris are talking. So I want to kind of get down to about line 17 or so. And that is this. And bid her, mark you me, on Wednesday, but soft, what day is this? Monday, my lord. Haha, Wednesday is too soon. Let it be Thursday. So he wants to plan the wedding originally for Wednesday, but he says, no, Wednesday's too soon. How about Thursday? As if that makes a difference. But it's still very soon. What day is it today, he says. He says Monday. Okay, now we find out the reference point for the whole play. This is late Monday. Monday was the day that Romeo and Juliet got married. So that would have made Sunday the day that the brawl and then the Capulet masquerade party happened. So Sunday evening, Romeo and Juliet meet. Monday, they get married and Romeo kills Tybalt and is banished. And now in 3 days time, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Juliet's supposed to be married. So we are running on a very, very tight deadline here, or a pace. So this is part of how the story continues to pick up the pace. So I did want to point that out so that you know what's going on. So Thursday, he sets, it's today, Monday, or actually by the next scene, it's Tuesday morning, early Tuesday morning. So let us go to that next scene. Click. There we go. Now, I apologize. I have way too many lines for the scene, but there's just so many little scenes within it that I just want to point them out. So first is they wake up in the morning, and I want to say this. She hears a bird. It was the nightingale and not the lark. Okay, what's the difference? What's the point? Okay, a nightingale sings at night. The lark sings in the morning. So if it was the lark, then it means it's morning. If it was the nightingale, it means it's night. And Juliet is actually denying the truth. The truth is that it's the lark, but she's saying, no, it's the nightingale. It's still night. In other words, if it's still night, Romeo can still be with her. So I kind of like how Shakespeare does that there. And later on about line 25, when she realizes, no, it actually is, it is the lark. It is the lark. Okay, it is the lark that sings. Okay, in other words, it is morning. Romeo's willing to say, okay, yeah, you're right, it's a nightingale. I'll just stay here. I'd rather be with you and then be found out in the morning and be killed if that's what you want. And then Juliet's like, no, it is the lark. I guess you better go. And then they say their little departing lines and whatnot. There's quite a bit of foreshadowing in this. I'm not going to be able to point them all out, but one of them is this. As Romeo's standing below the balcony, Juliet looks down on him and says, I have an ill divining soul. I have a nervous premonition. Something that bad is going to happen. It seems like I see you now down there as if you were in the bottom of a tomb. Okay, you look pale. Okay, it looks like you're in a tomb dead. Now, this is foreshadowing, as you'll see. once we get on to the end of the story. Okay. So she's already says, it looks like you're in a tomb. Now she would say this here because it's as if he's dying. It's as if him being banished and leaving Verona is as if he's dead. It's her sadness over losing him that way. So she does say that. It doesn't make sense. Next line we want to look at is line 91. By this point in time, Lady Capulet has come in and shared the news. Okay. And I like this is Lady Capulet thinks that Juliet's weeping for Tybalt and that she really hates Romeo for what he's done. Okay, she knows. Now here we get this idea. I'll send one to Mantua where that same banished renegade that Romeo shall be given an unaccustomed dram. In other words, a poison. So she's going to hire a hitman to poison Romeo. That's how angry she is at Romeo, and she thinks Juliet has the exact same sentiment against Romeo. Okay, and that's interesting. It shows us the character of Lady Capulet. She's willing to poison somebody in revenge and whatnot. Now we find out that poison is actually illegal to sell and buy. So she's actually willing to do something against the law of the time to kill Romeo. Now I love Juliet's reply, and this is what I wanted to point out, because this is how clever Shakespeare can be with words. She says this, as her mom says, yeah, let's assassinate Romeo. She says, indeed, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo until I behold him dead. So she agrees with her mom. Okay. However, she doesn't, because we have to read it differently. She says, I never shall be satisfied with Romeo till I behold him. In other words, until I see him. I shall never be satisfied with Romeo until I see him. In other words, she wants to see him. She won't be satisfied until she sees him again, which is the truth. So she tells her mom the absolute truth, but she adds on this word dead. But we have to read it, till I behold him dead, till I see him dead is what her mom takes away from this phrase. But what Juliet means is the absolute truth. Now she says, dead is my poor heart for a kinsman vexed. She's still sad for Tybalt's death. Okay? But she doesn't want Romeo to die for it. So this is the clever way Shakespeare has words, where it has actually two meanings if you read it a little bit differently. And Juliet speaks the absolute truth here, but at the same time, she still makes her mother think that she doesn't love Romeo. Okay? Very interesting. Now, the fact of the matter is, Juliet speaks right to her mom and says she does want to see Romeo again, but she kind of speaks in code. I hope that made sense. I thought that was super, super clever. The next line we're coming down to is line 161-ish, when her father comes in. Okay, and he's just flipping out once he realizes she denies him. I encourage you to watch the scene. I think it's done really, really well. She says this, tell thee what, get thee to a church a Thursday or never after look me in the face. Okay. He gets really, really mad. He continues to go on. I think our next line reiterates the same thing. Graze, so if you do not wed, graze where you will. Go eat in a field, like that's a metaphor, like, grazing where you want to, eat where you want to eat in a pasture. Okay, go where you want to, but you shall not live with me. Okay, you shall not live with me. In other words, you can go ahead, hang, you can beg, you can starve, you can die in the streets, but I'm going to ignore you. I will disown you if you don't show up at the church on Thursday. Okay, he's not even giving her more time. I even asked her mom, she said, Mom, just let him give me some more time. I shall not be forsworn. I will not go back on my promise. Thursday it is. Okay. Oh no. Juliet's in for it now. Then we get to line 202, 03. There. Oh, here it is. 202. Mother, delay this marriage. If not, make the bridal bed. So make my wedding bed a grave. Make it in that dim monument, the tomb where Tybalt lies. So don't make my wedding a funeral. That's what Juliet says. Now this is foreshadowing, but it's also exaggerating that she would rather die than marry Paris, which is the truth. Funny thing is, her wedding will become her funeral, which we'll see. So that's foreshadowing a little bit there. And then the last thing is line 227, when she asks the nurse, what do you think, nurse? Everyone else has left. She gets a chance to ask the nurse. And the nurse says, I think you should marry Paris. And Juliet asks her, do you speak honestly from your heart? Can I trust you? You know, as I've trusted you as my mother figure forever. And the nurse says, yes, and from my soul, or beshrew them both, or damn them both. She's speaking truth to heaven. She's absolutely speaking from her heart. She thinks Juliet should go ahead and marry Paris. And Juliet says, amen. Okay. Juliet says, lies and says, you comforted me much. She says, I trust your counsel. But when the nurse leaves, Juliet says this, 237, one of my most favorite lines against the nurse, ancient damnation. I'm not sure which insult's better, assail, or hide your face with the a fan because the fan looks better, or this one, Juliet saying, ancient damnation, you old devil. She says, you old devil. So we know Juliet's true heart, our attitude towards the nurse. She calls her an old devil. She's not going to trust the nurse anymore. In fact, we know she goes to the friar right there. Okay, this scene ends with more problems, more conflict, and the one person who Juliet is about to go to, and that is Friar Lawrence, to try to fix it. See, Friar Lawrence kind of got them into this mess, and she wants to see if he can get them out of it. So as we move into Act 4, we will be beginning with Friar Lawrence and kind of getting Juliet meeting up with Friar Lawrence and them building more trust, because obviously the nurse can't be trusted anymore. Of course, Romeo in the meantime is exiled in Mantua, and we're just looking very bleak here, and we are on a spiral towards absolute tragedy and death. It's coming, guys. It's coming. A couple more scenes, and then we're all dead. Talk to you later. Don't be lame. Tune in next time, guys.